Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Schooner Morning Show. My name is Mark Preble. I'm your host today. Thank you for tuning in to Schooner's Channel 1390. And with us this morning, we have Slyvia Everett, who lives in apartment 629 in the Rockport building. Sylvia has been with us for quite a while. As a matter of fact, we've even been on a 3-day trip in the Schooner bus. Remember that? When we went up to the county. Sylvia's from the county. We actually went right to her childhood home.
Right.
In, was it Caribou?
Caribou.
Up in Caribou, yeah. So, well, that's our first question. Were you born in Caribou?
I was born in Caribou, and it will be 93 years ago tomorrow.
No kidding. Your birthday is tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday. Well, this actually won't air until next week, so you will have had your birthday.
Yeah, I think you've got it for Thursday.
Thursday, yeah, this week. That's right. Okay. I forget what day it is.
I know.
The days go.
It's easy to forget.
Oh.
I was born in Caribou, and I lived there until I was 16. And so last year I graduated from high school, and the house that we had was right on, it bordered the farm that was the Collins farm at the time, which is all built up, of course, now. Then we moved to Prescal, which wasn't very far away.
Right.
My father had a grocery store, and in 1944 he bought a wholesale grocery company in Prescal. That's why we moved to Prescal. And so then I went to the University of Maine, and in 1946 I met my future husband. He'd been a Marine in World War II, and I met him. And in 1947, we got married and lived in Prescal for many years after that, which was the longest we lived any place. And he went into banking at first, and then he worked for my father. And then when my father sold the place out, he went with that company, and as time went on, that company was bought out, and another company was bought out, so we moved around a little bit. During my earlier years, married years, I had 2 children. One is a social worker and one a doctor. And they didn't go to school until they were 6, because the 2 years that they would have gone to kindergarten, Prescal didn't even have a kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
So they which didn't hurt them as it turned out.
Right.
And I did work part-time for a while in that period, but I found it too difficult because we didn't have a second car. There wasn't any daycare at the time, and
Right.
It was easier to stay home and take care of those children. So after they were in school for a while, I did do some part-time office work, and got interested I did a lot of volunteer work, and I was a city committee woman, state committee woman, Republican.
Oh, wow.
And ran headquarters, worked for Olympia Snow. And I actually I volunteered for Bill Cohen when it started up on the Thursdays when Kathy Olmsted would go out of Prescal and go up there. So I got interested in politics to a certain extent.
Wow.
Right now, I'm not so interested.
Now, I want to just pick up on something, because you said your home in Caribou bordered the Collins farm. Is that Senator Collins' family? Because they're from Caribou as well, and she just won her 5th term in the United States Senate.
And I was very happy about that, because I knew her grandfather,
Yeah.
and I went to school. Her father was a year ahead of me in high school, and her Uncle Doug was a year behind me in high school, and I knew her mother at the University of Maine. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And good everybody that really knows her, like you really know the family.
I know the family.
And unlike you here on TV, you know for sure that they are a great family.
They are.
And then she has real good convictions.
Very good.
It was good to see that hundreds of millions of dollars from out of state did not sway that election.
Did not sway that, because that was the election I was the most interested in
Right.
the selection.
Yeah.
So anyway, as time went on, as I said, my husband's group, he got from one company to another company, and he finally got to the place when the last company that he worked for put him in charge of setting up a computer room when he knew nothing about computers.
Oh, you're kidding. How do you do that?
So he had to go to school, of course, for a while, but his hours were different than they had been before, and he was on call a lot. So he retired quite early, and we moved to Florida. And
What part of Florida?
Ocala.
Ocala, yeah.
And he worked for Habitat for Humanity for 11 years.
Oh, wow.
And so anyway, I'm going beyond probably where I should be right now, but my children both went to college, of course, and they
Yeah.
both.
Are they fairly local, or where
Well,
are
my
your
son,
children?
that's why I'm here. My son lives here.
Your son lives here, yeah?
Yeah. And Michael, yeah, you know Michael.
I do know Michael, and Michael's wife,
Yeah,
her mom lived here
that's right.
years ago. That's right.
That's actually why I'm here.
Yes, yes.
So anyway,
All in the family, keeping it all in the family.
I was.
And who's your other child?
Beverly, she's a doctor, and she lives in New Hampshire now.
Okay,
But she lived in, when she first practiced medicine, she was in Florida. And then she moved to North Carolina. She did some of her work at North Carolina, University of North Carolina. And so she lived in North Carolina quite a few years. And in 1904, I'm getting ahead of myself here too, because I want to backtrack a little bit. My husband and I did quite a lot of traveling.
yeah.
And on our 55th wedding anniversary, we went around the Cape of South America.
Oh,
On
wow.
a trip.
Wow, on a boat?
On
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was pretty exciting. And when we got around the Horn and went to Cape of Magellan, we hit a bad storm. So I know what that could be.
Wow.
Did that. And the other thing that I want to mention, I was thinking about, that we spent one New Year's Eve in Buenos Aires. And that was really exciting. We went on called a mystery trip that the AAA sponsored, and we went to a tango club that night. And then I also spent 2 New Year's Eve in London.
Wow. So that was kind of a thing for you guys to be somewhere when the year changed.
Right. But my daughter did some of her medical clerkships 1 year in London.
Yeah.
So that was, but the second one she wasn't.
Yeah.
So were sort of highlights of our marriage.
So you have some history back in the English or over there in England, right?
Yes, right.
I remember you saying about genealogy and
Right.
tracing.
Yes, I am Scandinavian and British Isles. Right. But I also doing genealogy. I went to Salt Lake City on twice for workshops and twice with friends just looking. And I went to Sweden and for a 2 weeks workshop and went to the archives there, and really I met some distant relatives of mine, which was interesting.
Wow.
And so I've done a lot. I've gotten genealogy on both sides, my family and my husband's, back sometimes, well, his even more so, but mine back to the 15th century in places.
Wow.
So I'm sort of And I really don't have much to look for in that respect anymore.
You've gone as far as you can.
As long as
They didn't even keep records back
That's right.
after that.
Yeah, right.
But did you say that your husband's side came over on the Mayflower?
7 of them. He had 7.
7 people on the Mayflower.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
And
Just
then on
amazing.
his mother's side, he had there were a lot of Scottish people. And they were quite, 4 of them were in the Black Watch, the 42nd Black Watch Regiment. And some of them, they came over like for the French and Indian Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
And settled in Canada at the time. And so he had I thought of it the other night when I was watching Henry Louis Gates. It spoke to somebody that had a lot of medical, not medical,
History.
I just had people in battle.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
soldiers. Okay.
right.
That how many would be in my children's families.
Yeah, yeah.
It was, so it's, I find it more interesting doing genealogy than just finding dates and names of what they actually did.
Yes.
That's what I.
Right.
really
Well, yeah.
enjoy.
But you are very good at history because I remember when we took our trip, you really educated me about.
I like history. I
Yeah.
didn't major in it, I minored in it. If I were doing it over, I would have majored in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for our listeners out there on Channel 1390, what other interests or things would you like people, your friends and neighbors here at Schooner to know about you? Do you have any hobbies?
Well, I used to do a lot of needlework,
Okay.
and but I don't anymore because it's too hard on my eye and my hands.
Yeah.
So I did that. I used to sew a lot. Offhand, I can't. Oh, I play bridge. I've always played bridge.
That's right.
I've played bridge since I started when I was 16 down at University of Maine.
Yeah.
And even played duplicate with my husband some of the years when we lived in Maryland.
And that's something we can say. If there are any bridge players out there,
Right.
let me know because there are bridge games that happen from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
You won't find them on the calendar because there's such a small group that play, and every now and then you need
Yes,
somebody,
we need
right?
somebody, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
And of course, when the first years we were married, whatever, my husband was an outdoorsman, so I had to go skiing. We had a skidoo. I could ride a skidoo.
yeah,
The outdoor sports like that. And
Absolutely.
we did a lot of camping.
yes.
With the children, we first with tenting, and then we bought a small camping trailer. And we also had a camp at a lake that came down that my family had.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of that. I guess that's.
Well, being from the county, when you hear the slogan in Maine, Maine the way life should be, they're referring to the county.
Yes,
Right?
right.
That's what they're talking about. Maine, the way life should be, is northern Maine. It is absolutely a treat. Very, very wonderful. Sylvia is one of the native ladies of northern Maine. Not native, no, you haven't been there since the beginning, but you've
Yeah.
been there a long time, which
Right.
is wonderful. Just curious, were you born in the hospital or at home?
In the hospital.
In the hospital, okay, yeah. A lot of folks at home, but Sylvia was in the hospital. Well, Sylvia, this was easy, wasn't it?
Very.
Nothing to it. You're going to be up next, so give me a call if you're ready to be interviewed, and we'll get you on Channel 1390. Have a wonderful day, and Sylvia, thank you very much for coming by
You're
today.
welcome. I'll probably think of something when I get home that I didn't tell you.
Well, I'm sure we'll talk more, and if you want to learn more about Sylvia, don't hesitate, reach out. She's a wonderful lady, very, very smart, loves history, and plays bridge.
And plays bridge, that's right.
That's right. So thank you very much for tuning in. And this has been the Schooner Morning Show. Have a great day.
Bye.